Have you ever heard of a place that simply ceased to exist? A place where every single person vanished overnight, leaving behind a ghost town frozen in time. Let's travel back to 1987, to the rugged coast of Japan, and a small fishing village named Tsukumi. One morning, a neighboring town noticed an unsettling silence. No boats were heading out to sea. No smoke rose from the chimneys. When they went to investigate, they found something deeply disturbing. The entire village was empty. Every man, woman, and child gone. The strange part, everything else was left exactly as it was. Boats were still tied to the docks, their nets neatly folded. Inside the homes, meals were left half-eaten on tables, teacups still warm. It was as if everyone had just evaporated mid-sentence. The only thing out of place was a set of bizarre, unfamiliar symbols, freshly carved into the wooden posts at the village entrance. For years, the story of Tsukumi was whispered about as a local ghost tale, a cursed place best left alone. Whenever journalists or researchers tried to dig deeper, they were met with a wall of silence. Neighboring villagers would shake their heads, saying the area was haunted, and that those who pried too closely would meet a similar fate. But what if the truth was far more chilling than any ghost story? What if the vanishing wasn't supernatural at all? Tsukumi was an isolated community, keeping mostly to itself. But in the weeks leading up to the disappearance, locals from nearby towns reported seeing unmarked government vehicles driving toward the village. Strange men in plain clothes were seen talking to the village elders. At the time, it was dismissed as routine business, but in hindsight, it paints a much darker picture. Were these visits a prelude to what was to come? It seemed the government was taking a keen interest in this quiet, unassuming fishing village, but for reasons no one could understand, the mystery of Tsukumi remained buried for decades. A cold case, collecting dust, that is, until a geological survey team, working in the hills overlooking the former village site, stumbled upon something extraordinary. Hidden beneath overgrown vegetation was a heavily reinforced, sealed steel door leading to a bunker that wasn't on any map. After managing to breach the entrance, they found a room filled with decaying files and scientific equipment from the 1980s. And in a water-damaged crate, they found a collection of documents, all stamped with a single, chilling title, Project Tsukumi. These papers detailed a clandestine government experiment. They described the village's test site Gamma and its inhabitants as subjects. The file spoke of introducing a potent airborne psychoactive agent to study its effects on a closed, isolated community. The goal was to observe induced mass hysteria, but the final entries were frantic, written in hurried handwriting. They mentioned unforeseen cognitive collapse and an escalated containment protocol. The last legible sentence read, "Evacuation of all subjects is compromised. Final solution initiated." So, what really happened to the people of Tsukumi? One theory is that the experiment went horribly wrong. The psychoactive agent, instead of just causing hysteria, induced a state of collective psychosis so severe that the villagers turned on each other, or perhaps simply wandered away into the dense forests, lost to the elements. The government, faced with a catastrophic failure, initiated a massive cover-up, scrubbing the village from records and creating the cursed legend to keep people away. Another, more terrifying theory suggests the experiment was a success, but the outcome was so disturbing that the government decided to erase the entire event and its witnesses. Could they have forcibly removed everyone, relocating them to a black site to study them further, or worse? The strange symbols found at the entrance might have been a warning, or perhaps a side effect of the induced madness. The files from the bunker are now in classified hands, and the official story remains that Tsukumi Village was simply abandoned over time due to economic decline. But the evidence suggests something far more sinister. It leaves us with a haunting question that stretches far beyond one small, forgotten village. If a government could make over 100 people disappear without a trace and hide it for decades, what else have they hidden from us? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you find these mysteries as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next investigation. See you next time.